Let's get Yurified.
Okay, this is gonna be a bit of a first. Now, I don't normally talk about manga on this channel, but I think you'll understand why I'm gonna make an exception for this one by the end of the video. In fact, you could say that my third eye has been opened after staring into the bowels of this truly cultured masterpiece, which of course is called Kaguhara's Fetish Notebook. And it is exactly what it sounds like. So sit tight and keep an open mind, because this is gonna get wacky. Alright, so the story of this manga centers around a high school girl named Kaguhara Ririka, a plain introverted girl who has a rather unique hobby. She gets off from smelling the odor of cute girls, specifically their sweat, and how she releases all this pent-up hormone-induced lust is by writing all her feelings and experiences down inside her titular notebook.
そうか。
I don't even know where to begin with this. I mean, my first thought is just how amusing the conversation must have been when the author pitched this manga to their editor. But yeah, jokes aside, this may be one of the craziest things ever committed to paper. And I guess this will be my first ever review of something on this channel too. In which case, I better take this perverted fetish manga seriously. So first of all, this is a full-blown comedy, and the Yuri so far is only from the main character's extreme investment in her female classmate's secretions. There's no romance in it. For now. Now, the formula of this manga is basically watching our cultured protagonist expressing her love of her classmates' bodily aromas, and eventually experiencing those aromas directly from the source. And this is all expressed in the most dumbfoundingly detailed ways. I mean, this girl really loves the scent of maidens, and goes on long philosophical tangents about them. Now, of course, we all have our preferred kinks and fetishes, some more shameful than others, but I defy anyone to make such compelling arguments for the love of them as much as this girl. And with that, let's go over our main character. Kaguhara Ririka is her name, and losing herself in sweaty sauce is her game. Now, as fictional perverts go, I will say that she has yet to cross into criminal territory, so that's good. But her imagination and creepy actions is certainly worth a few inches of eyebrow raising. Definitely not the creepiest sexual deviant I've ever seen. I mean, that's a pretty long list, but for the most part, she's fairly harmless, and f***ing hilarious to watch. Now, a very likely conclusion that some people might come to, and one that I'm personally inclined to believe, is that she is a self-insert character of the author. Yeah, just a hunch. I mean, we all understand that the characters we write to some extent embody our experiences and state of mind, but when a character is this introspective and upfront of what she wants, then, well, I can't say I truly blame the author. Now, personally, I don't really care how much of yourself you wish to insert into your characters, as long as they're likable, relatable, and fit into the story well. And Ririka definitely gets a gold star in cringeworthy likability in my book. Also, I don't know too much about the author, Kido Sakaru, other than the fact that they made a few Watamote fan books, which makes perfect sense, by the way. Anyway, on to the plot. So a typical chapter sees Ririka observing a fellow classmate of hers and admiring their sweet scent, whether that be from their armpits, feet, hands, or ass. So many choices. We then see ridiculous situations where Ririka concocts ways to immerse herself in the sauce directly. For example, there's one scene that has Ririka hellbent on sniffing one of her classmates' feet, so she cleverly devises a plan where she would accidentally have her eraser drop near that girl's desk, and presto, feet a la mode. She then tries to flick her eraser from her desk across the room, and the whole scene plays out like a goddamn golfing simulator, and it is hysterical. One of the highs of this manga really come from its ability to exaggerate scenarios, whether through the over-the-top drawings or Ririka's hyper-analytical monologues, and they hit hard. Speaking of the drawings, let's talk about the art style. Your eyes definitely aren't lying to you. This is something truly majestic. Where it really shines is in the expressions and anatomy. First of all, the designs for the girls are super adorable, and when you combine that with perfect proportions and over-the-top facial expressions, then it is pure eye candy. In fact, overall I would compare it to the art style of the One Punch Man manga. Not this one, this one, both in the level of detail and anatomical finesse, and that's no small praise. You also get a fun contrast between these glorious cinematic scenes and the ridiculous derpy reactions from cartoon characters. And speaking as an artist myself, this is the kind of level I can only dream of achieving. And also speaking as a connoisseur of cute and sexy anime girls, I can honestly say that we're in the presence of a true master here. Anyway, if I were to simplify things and compare this to some other mangas, then I think this would be fairly accurate. It has the atomic level introspection of Yuri Danshi, the bowel-churning cringe of Watamote, and the crazy but proud perversion of looking up to magical girls. So much insanity in one package. And finally, let's talk a little more in depth about the Yuri itself. As I mentioned before, there isn't any romance, i.e. any courting between female characters. However, I will say that none of the cast members have really shown any disinterest towards their female peers, and personally, I have a sneaking suspicion that one of them has a secret crush towards another. Here's a little hint. If I can compare the two once again, its Yuri is actually quite similar to Watamote's. By the way, if you don't want Watamote spoilers, then skip to the timestamp here. To the surprise and joy of many, the manga eventually ended up turning into a Yuri harem series, and the formula for that is Tomoko, our eternally charming protagonist, basically has perverted and awkward interactions with members of her harem. The manga also seems pretty content with maintaining this formula and not expanding beyond it, which I'm totally fine with, by the way. I mean, it's still gut-busting in the most endearing way possible, but my point is that it found a comfortable forte, and it reassures you that there's no question that some of the characters have a particular fondness for femme de la creme. I don't know if that means what I think it means, but it sounds like it does. Anyway, basically, Kaguhara is in the same ballpark, but with possibly higher thirst levels. I'm also fine with a lack of romance, as we also have an enjoyable formula going on. But I will say that the Yuri can definitely reach higher planes of perversion. Shocking claim, I know. As I'm recording this video, there's only around 9 chapters of this wonderful cringe fest, and I mentioned that our cultured protagonist has only got to experience 4 parts of the female anatomy so far. There's still so much to be discovered. So yeah, that's pretty much this manga in a nutshell. If I were to give any criticisms though, it would have to come from the writing. Basically, there would be a couple of instances in the manga where something would happen without any explanation, just so the next thing would happen. An example of that, without going into spoilers, is where one of the characters obtained an item belonging to another, and it was never made clear how or why they obtained it, but it led to quite a debacle for those 2 characters. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much golden. Also, props to the translation and scan team. They did a bang-up job with all the crazy dialogue. Anyway, I don't think it needs to be said that I highly recommend this glorious manga. Incidentally, I'd be quite a happy camper seeing a physical release of it someday. And dare I say, perhaps even an anime too. I mean, if looking up to magical girls can get one, then Jesus Christ, pretty much any degenerate manga can. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on it. And let me know if you want me to do more Yuri reviews like this as well. I can do anything other than full-blown porno. Sorry about that, Asumi fans. Anyway, see you perverts in the next video.